Step into a new day. We can rise up from the dust and walk away.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Barnes.
Here.
Bradley. Hastings.
Here.
Lynch. Pistol.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
I'll entertain a motion in a second to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Motion is second. Any discussion? I was going to amend the agenda. Underwater, I'm going to introduce an ordinance on the first reading. We've been talking a while about for an industrial rate. That came to us yesterday afternoon. I'll have Oren talk about that. I don't like to bring something in the day before, but this is something we've been working on for several months. And I'm just going to leave it, and we're going to talk about it under Water and Sewer Department. That's all I have on that. Any other discussion on the agenda? I'll ask for a roll call for approval.
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Brings us to department head reports, Airport Commission. I think Jason Hayes is,
Did we approve the minutes or the agenda?
oh, I'm sorry. And entertain a motion and second to approve the amendments and monthly financials. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Congressman
minutes for
Pistol.
last month's meeting.
Second. Any discussion? Any discussion? I'll ask for a roll call.
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch. Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Now we can get to the department head report. Airport Commission, talked to Alex Kinlan earlier today. He was in, and he basically we have a couple of resolutions on some grants. I think Jason Hayes is going to be here and talk about them. If not, I can. But it's the lighting and the runway. We've been talking about that. The runway lighting and the beacon that's we hope don't shine in Dickie Hink's bedroom. Mm-hmm. And then $30,000 grant just for operations to pay Susan Fox, et cetera, et cetera. But I think everything's running pretty smooth at the airport as far as I know.
Yeah, that lighting's been on their 10-year plan for a while.
10-year plan sometimes take longer than 10 years. I thought NRC was moving slow, and I heard they were moving fast. What do I know? Okay, anything else? That brings us to animal control. I'll ask for a report from Officer Tim Pike.
Okay, last month I took 10 calls in the city and picked up 3 dogs, which we've been limited on room. We've had a dog bite, which happened this month, so it'll actually be on my reports next month.
Right.
But the dog's in quarantine. The child, I was told day before yesterday, is back at Children's Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 25 stitches. I've been in touch with the health department. They're going to release the dog back to the owner, but she is going to take the dog and she's already got an appointment for its rabies shots because they give it from the co-op, which is not legal. And then she's taking the dog to White County. It will be back in the county. The owner of the property's told her she can't ever bring it back on that property.
That was my question. So it'll go from wherever it's quarantined to where it's supposed to go?
Yes, it's quarantined at the shelter.
Okay.
When she picks it up, she's got an appointment at the vet. And as soon as they get the shot, they're supposed to fax a copy of that to the health department. And then she can leave the county with the dog.
Who makes the decision on euthanization for that? Is that the health department?
Health department.
Quarantine?
Yes.
And do we average so many a month, or do you know that
We'll have, some months we'll have 1 or 2, and then we'll go for months that we don't have any.
Okay. All right.
This rabies shot thing, though, we need to find a way to let the public know the shots from the feed stores and drug stores, they're not legal in Arkansas. That's a state law. They have to be given by a licensed vet to be legal.
Does the owner get a fine or anything when the dog bites somebody?
They will get a fine for dog at large. I don't know on the rabies shot on this one after they thought they was doing right. Cause she said she'd never been told that you couldn't just go to the co-op and get a shot, which, you know, makes sense. If they sell it, you should be able to use it. But she is gonna be charged with animal at large. I may have more charges on her on some other dogs later.
Charges come from control officer, right?
Yes,
Okay. And it was reported on that was Sunday?
Sunday.
And we had an officer from the city there first, and then you came on second, correct?
Well, there was city officers there first, and then there was a county officer there, and then cause I had to come from home on Sunday.
And that's 10-day quarantine on any dog bite. That's the protocol, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so that'll be over Wednesday.
Now, if the dog has had his shots from a vet, a lot of times the health department will let them quarantine it at home.
Right.
But they have to agree that any given time, I can go by and make sure that dog's where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Leash law that was my question somebody had asked me about. They asked, that you addressed that. That was the only thing that I knew.
The owner swears up and down somebody turned the dog loose. It had a big D-ring on its chain, which I've got a picture of the D-ring, and it had been backed all the way off. The neighbor's one that caught the dog and took it and put it back on the chain. The lady, she's had somebody coming by and feeding and water. She ain't been here in 2 weeks.
This is inside the city?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been to the house for other things twice in the last 2 weeks, and wasn't nobody there last week at all. So.
Well, her landlord has told her that she can have the 2 Chihuahuas. The other 3 has got to go. Well, other 4 has got to go. She got 3 there outside now, and the one we have at the shelter.
10 calls, 3 dog pickups, right?
Well, like I said, this dog will be on my next month.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Any other questions for Officer Pike? Tim, thanks a lot.
All right.
Appreciate it. For retreat.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm probably going to be here for a while. As most of you probably already know, for the last 3 weeks, S.N.Y.P, Arkansas has undergone some allegations in one of the local papers that I would like to dispel tonight, please. If you would have my ear, please. Would you allow me that opportunity?
I've not heard the allegations. I don't read the paper.
I haven't either, I haven't heard
Well,
it.
anyway, just you can just paraphrase.
us, Lord.
Yeah, I want you to say whatever. But yeah.
Well, all right. Okay. On the first article was titled "Road Just Got Rougher for Unwanted Dogs," May the 26th, 2020. Quote, "It was only a matter of time before the board decided it wasn't going to take in owner surrenders anymore." End quote. So I have a question for you gentlemen here this evening. When S.N.Y.P took over, we decided that we were going to take owner surrenders if we had the space available. Prior to that, how many owner surrenders did the county and city take in at the animal shelter here in Clinton?
I didn't know that. I thought the animal shelter never took owner surrenders. I've never known of them taking owner surrenders, but
You're absolutely right, Alderman Pistol. They never accepted owner surrenders. She goes on to further quote, "And perhaps even worse news, pit bull and pit bull mixes that end up at the shelter are apparently doomed after 5 days." End quote. She got that from our Facebook post when we said we are effective immediately. We will no longer take owner surrenders, and we will no longer accept pit or pit bull mixes. If Officer Pike brings in a pit or a pit bull mix, the owner has 5 days to claim. When we took over with this from the city and the county, we told the city and the county that we would give owners 5 days to reclaim their dogs. Interestingly enough, Arkansas has a 0 hold days for animals in shelters. That means the instant Officer Pike walks through our door, with either a dog or a cat, it legally becomes property of that shelter. As a group, my board said that's a little harsh. We need to give people the opportunity to reclaim these animals. So we said, sure, we'll give them 5 days. So evidently she withdrew from my statement that owners have 5 days to reclaim their dog, that those dogs will be euthanized after 5 days, which is not the case. We're trying to prevent that from happening. As you know, last year we did an upgrade out there. We knocked down the old kennels that were rotted down and went up with new kennels. So we only have room in there for 34 dogs now, where we had room for almost 60. We've got room for 34 in the shelter. 34 dogs and 12 cats. Okay? So we had one pit bull that we all love dearly, but she kept one of those kennels tied up there for 12 months. We would not euthanize her, but because she took up that kennel, that prevented us from taking 12 other dogs out here that were chasing goats, killing chickens, and chasing and killing cows, or horses, I'm sorry. That happens in this county, believe it or not. So for every one dog that takes up a kennel for months on end, that's that many dogs that we can't get off the street. Okay? She made it a breed issue. Our statement clearly indicated that we were not taking these dogs because we did not have a safe outlet for them. Meaning we do not have a rescue on board that is willing to take these breeds. So we made the choice that if we can't get them out of there in a timely manner, well, we're not going to accept them either. Okay? Okay. She also goes on to say that they also didn't answer my request for contact information for the director, Lori Tree. End quote. Gentleman, S.N.Y.P has a published public telephone number. 745-7697. She never called and left a voicemail there. Mrs. Tucker had my personal email address at one point in time because we have exchanged emails in the past. At one point in time, she had my personal cell phone number. Miss Tucker chose not to reach out to me via my email or my personal cell phone number. Instead, she chose to reach out on social media via Facebook and ask questions. I chose not to get into a social media debate over this issue. That was my choice.
Which is the right choice.
Thank you. So that's all I want to have. That was the first article. Ironically enough, in that first article, the article on the front page was about the attack in Scotland. You guys know about that dog attack in Scotland?
The years ago one?
No. The one that happened in May
Okay.
was a very brutal attack by a pit bull, which she left out of the article, onto an owner's mother and father. The mother had to be picked up at her home via air ambulance and flighted to Little Rock for surgery. That specific dog had a valid rabies certificate. I had proof of it at the shelter, because he was in there less than a year ago for this exact same reason. He attacked a telephone worker that came to the house. So he was with us. We gave him the rabies vaccine. Dr. Terry Fox was one who administered that. He had a valid rabies certificate. The day after he came in, or maybe 2 days after he came in, orders came down from Little Rock from the health department to put that dog down. Regardless of the fact that he had a valid rabies vaccination. Because it was a vicious dog. They got in touch with the animal control officer, told the animal control officer what veterinarian to use in the city and how to proceed with that. So Officer Pike came and got the dog, and from there, he can tell you what happened to it. But it was not euthanized at the animal shelter. Okay, June 2nd, 2020. The title of the article was "Bashing Journalist is Yesterday's News." Do y'all remember me telling you about the social media debate? She got into a heated discussion with another person from the public and alludes to the fact of that we just needed to back off. I never said a word. So she comes in and she says, "I would not call it a shelter anymore, since it no longer accepting owner surrenders and apparently makes pit bull and pit bull mixes magically disappear after 5 days." She does go on to say that they do not use the word euthanize in book. That's all speculation on her behalf. We never said that animals were going to be euthanized after 5 days. Our statement was owners had 5 days to reclaim their pet if it's brought in by Officer Pike. Okay?
Let me ask you, by that you mean, at that point, then the dog goes out available for adoption?
It becomes my property,
Yeah.
and then it's my decision to determine what we're going to do. Is it an adoptable pet?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a dog or a cat or a gerbil at this point in time. Is it an adoptable pet? Do we invest money and time in this animal? Do we find it another home? Do we sit on it and hope that someone adopts it locally? Or can we ship it to an out-of-state rescue? That's our call, completely.
But you wouldn't refuse the owner if they came in 8 days later, right?
No,
Wanted to
but at that
reclaim
point in time, the owner has to pay the full adoption fee of $75.
the dog. That's understandable.
And they will get a fully vetted dog, fully
After
vetted
5
adult
days,
dog.
you pay 75.
Yes,
Then you pay 80, 85, 90, or just 75?
75.
All right,
75 for a dog,
yeah,
50 for a cat.
okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'm not rushing, I just want
Okay.
you to pop up, you know.
She goes on in that same article and says, "It has, to my knowledge, never regularly provided low-cost spay and neuter services," mentioning S.N.Y.P. Okay? Do y'all remember back here when I was in here last November and I told y'all our first open spay and neuter clinic was going to be held in December? We held one in December, January, February, and March. All spaces were filled. We had April scheduled, but the pandemic shut that down. We have not held one since April. I am letting Dr. Nolf make the call on when he wants to reschedule all these. He said we will relook at it in August. Dr. Nolf is the one who does the procedures. He has a chronic lung condition and can't afford physically to be
Where's he
exposed.
from? Where's he out of?
He's here in Clinton.
All right.
His wife is Lorna Nolf. She taught at school for years.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as an editor and a journalist, she probably needed to educate herself and do a little bit of research before she
Wow.
started
Just, yeah,
saying
stay
things.
to
Yes.
the topic.
She goes on to ask, do they still adopt dogs out locally or are they all sent to Northern Rescues? All right. Now, here we come. In 2017, when we took over January 1st, we adopted out locally 64 dogs and 44 cats. We sent 37 dogs to rescue that year and reunited 7 owners with their missing pet. In 2018, we had 48 local adoptions of dogs. We had 79 local adoptions for cats. We sent 181 dogs to rescue. 100% of the cats that come into that shelter are adopted locally because we do not have a cat rescue. We reunited in 2018 29 dogs with their owners locally and 1 cat. We had 20 dogs expire in the shelter from post-op complications or natural causes in 2018. We had no cats expire like that. In 2018, we euthanized a total whopping 10 dogs from the shelter due to either extreme illness or aggression only. No cats. In 2019, we adopted 60 cats locally here in the county. We adopted out 33 dogs. We sent 212 dogs to rescue. We reunited 14 dogs with their owners and 1 cat with its owner. We had 5 dogs expire at the shelter in 2019 and 1 cat. We euthanized 5 dogs in 2019. And we euthanized 9 cats. All 9 of those cats came in diseased from right out here on Douglas Lane. If you remember that incident, Tim and I discussed it one evening in here. We did not euthanize any due to space. In 2020, this year, this is our euthanasia this year. 1 dog. This was a 9-year-old dog that you literally could not get into the kennel with without him trying to tear your leg off. We could not consciously adopt him out to anybody, whether it be local or even out of state. The best thing for that dog was to put him down. So far this year, we have sent 64 dogs to rescue. That is 29 puppies to Right Way in Morton Grove, Illinois, that we get $0 for. 0. We've sent 35 to Mutt Rescue in Chicopee, Massachusetts, for which we get a $63 per dog for. Okay? So far, we have reunited 4 dogs with their owners this year. We've had 3 owner reclaims this year. And so far, we have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 local adoptions for dogs this year. So yes, we do still adopt locally. A simple question to me would have answered that question to her. Okay. Goes on to say in that very same article that I remember the time pre-S.N.Y.P when you could actually visit the shelter and look at the dogs and cats that were there awaiting adoption. The last time I was there, that was no longer allowed, and it had nothing to do with COVID-19. That is false. We have never stated that viewing the dogs and cats is not allowed. I will agree that we're no longer there 8 hours a day. We are a volunteer staff. We're not paid like the previous management was. We each have jobs that we have to go to after we feed and clean. We are productive members of society, so we have to pay our own bills. There is a message on the door that says if you would like to visit or adopt, call this number, make an arrangement. We will meet you here for review. We've done several of them. This week, article. Sometimes it's just what it claims to be. June the 9th, 2020. She goes on to say that I have been looking over expenditures the city of Clinton has incurred trying to help S.N.Y.P, Arkansas since 2017. First glance, it appears to be several $1,000s. I will share more details later, end quote. Okay. Now, gentlemen, have I ever asked the city or the county for anything that you weren't contractually obligated to do? Okay?
I think we've always gone through, at least since I've been here until 2016, and I think that the city and stuff, although, we've had some debates with the county on the animal shelter and stuff, I think it's a lot better right now than it was 4 years ago. So I think we've done a very good job balancing the county and the city's financial responsibility. In fact, probably both governments have probably done a little bit more than what the budget has. Because I know a lot of people, I know Richard's you put a lot of your own time working down there. Other people have. So as far as you saying specifically, if you've ever come to us, to the best of my recollection, you've never come before this body and said, I need $5,000, I can't make it.
No,
You know,
I have
so
not.
if something like that happened, I wasn't here, but I don't think you ever came. This is what.
To my knowledge, this is what I have asked. In 2017, Mayor McCormick came out and, along with the city streets and parks guys, they poured a new concrete slab on the outside area to fix the EPA violations that were out there. They took that slab, they put a runner in the middle of it, and they tied it into the drainage system so that it would go into the sewer rather than being sprayed out on the ground, which was what was happening prior to our taking over.
And there was some kind of grinder pump.
In 2018, in the summer of 2018, we had a grinder pump failure. We had one grinder pump failure in 2018. Charles Wilson came out there with his group. Mayor McCormick was out there. They spent hours out there that day, hip deep in fecal matter and urine, trying to get the grinder pump back up to work, which they accomplished, getting one grinder pump up to work. The second one was dead. There was no getting to it. And then in 2019, we had yet grinder pump number 2 to fail because it was working overtime. In 2019, we took in 72 dogs in 14 days. So the system was overloaded. So the city did come out in December of 2019. They installed a holding tank to get all of the to catch all the solid debris before it gets into the grinder pump and runs the grinder pump, because they turned around and replaced both of the grinder pumps that had failed. To my knowledge, that is the only thing that I've asked you guys to do out there. I could be mistaken. It's been a long time. Gentlemen, the average cost that we endure out there, the cheapest thing that we can get done is a dog neuter at Dr. Ralph Tester's office for $50. The most expensive thing that we've had done is a dog spay at Dr. Mark Fox's office in Damascus for $126.50. Now keep in mind, we get $63 per dog for rescues. She seems to think we're selling all of the dogs in the county to an out-of-state rescue. For those dogs to go on transport, they have to have minimally a rabies vaccine. Our cost for rabies vaccines is $156.75 for a dose of 50. That's $3.15 a dose. They have to have a Bordetella flu vaccine. It cost us $226.86 for 25 vaccines. That's $9.07 a dose. If it's an adult dog, which everything that goes to Massachusetts is an adult dog, they have to have a DA2 PPV vaccine. That vaccine costs us $172.89 for 25, or $6.92 per dose. If it's a puppy, and we send it to Morton Grove, Illinois, Right Way Rescue, they have to have a DAPP coronavirus vaccine. That costs us $272.76 for 25, or $10.91 per dose. Every dog that goes to Massachusetts has to have a microchip. That costs us $4. They have to be heartworm negative and have to have at least one dose of heartworm preventative on board less than 30 days. An Iverheart Max pill averages about $8 per pill. They have to have, within the last 30 days, a flea and tick preventative administered. We use NexGard. NexGard averages $20 a pill. If you use it, you know what I'm talking about. All of this, we use our microscope. We have to use the microscope slide. We have to have microscope slide cover. Every one of these dogs have to have a fecal exam. So we have incurred costs for fecalizer, which is the solution to separate the eggs from the fecal matter in the fecalizer, okay? We use the syringes and the needles. Those are an additional cost to us. So we get 0 from Morton Grove and $63 per dog from us. On average, cost per dog for the animal shelter is $101.14. That's the low point, to $177.64 per dog. Gentlemen, does that sound like we are hoarding the dogs to sell them to a rescue out of state?
No, and I agree with it. There's a lot of statistics. I want you to go ahead and made some really good points. I want you to go ahead and wrap it up.
Thank you. I'm done. We currently have 3 cats out there. We have 17 dogs on site and 3 dogs in a foster home.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from
Thank you for
council?
listening. What questions do you have for me this evening, gentlemen?
I'm just curious, last time I was out there, the roof was leaking. Did you get that repaired?
That has not been repaired.
Okay. You said 3 cats, 17 dogs,
Yep.
and a leaking roof. Yeah.
I have replaced the air conditioner out front though. The air conditioner that died on us last fall.
I remember you having a lot of trouble with that too.
I replaced that air conditioner about a month ago in April at a cost of a little over $4,000 from my pocket.
Well, I think I can speak for the rest of the council. We appreciate your work. Thank you.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll tell you, sometimes,
You kept it open, so that's.
And I think the county needed it, the city needed it, and obviously, that's probably one of the first things I got thrown at when I first got on the council was that, and it's obvious that the people who are volunteering, they're doing it because they love animals, and, the last thing they want to do, and I think you're absolutely right, is to prevent, an animal from being euthanized unless it just the last resort, and you just
Absolutely.
have to do those kind of things. And I know working with the school, with the motor degree programs, and I think it's just opened a lot of people's eyes on the importance of, taking care of your animal too, if you have an animal, to be responsible for it. So I'm very appreciative of what you've done, or you stepped up where a lot of people didn't step up into it. And, I think your board is working the way we wanted it to work, and so I know, I think we do appreciate it.
Thank you, Alderman Lawrence, I appreciate that, but I want to say it's not just me. Callie Tester and Giselle Shaw and Terry Fox sit on my board. They make their decisions. Volunteers of Dina Wally and Dakota McMillan from B Branch. I couldn't do it without them. Those are the people that give daily of their hearts and souls for the animals out there. It's not just me.
We appreciate all of you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
really, we appreciate it, what you do.
Thank you. Y'all have a pleasant evening.
All right.
Thank you for listening to me this evening.
Thank you, Lori. Tim, and you may know, the 10 days is, be Wednesday the 17th on the quarantine, correct? I think?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thanks a lot. That brings us down to fire department. Would somebody send in DOL?
Yeah, there's Jason here now.
Oh, yeah, I thought you meant Jason Lynch. He did some traveling. He's spent.
Now Jason's here from the airport.
Right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna get him at the.
Everything's good. Any
Yeah, there you
questions?
go. Fire department.
We've worked a wreck, 2-car wreck down on 65 South this week. Had a lift assist to help medic 1 on a lift assist. Had a lightning strike down in Choctaw that took out a transformer at the gas station down there. We've gone back to meetings. We're having our meetings again, doing them outside still, half and half, should I say. Been doing Zoom meetings with the Fire Chiefs Association, talking about the tax that'll go into effect, I guess, after the hospital is paid off, to see how they're going to present a plan to the JPs to see how they can disperse the money, with the understanding that Clinton and Fairfield Bay is going to be different because we're municipalities. Other than that, not a whole lot going on. If there's any questions I can answer, I'll be glad to answer.
No, you did a good job, and appreciate you hosting us every week at the place for the
No problem.
superintendent's meeting.
We're going to phase 2, according to the governor yesterday, starting
That's what-
Monday.
Yeah.
So-
Phase 2 is when?
Monday,
Yeah.
which means restaurants and businesses can go to 2/3 capacity instead of 1/3. That's the main thing that's going on with going to phase 2.
And you got ample sanitizer for Archie Fest
Yes.
and car show.
Yes.
Paul, and I told Paul, I think we have,
Yeah, we have plenty that we'll still have
Put some
some in,
stations up there.
we'll still have some in reserve if needed later on.
Right, okay. Anything else for the chief? Thank you, DL.
Okay.
Park, would you send in Charles, please?
Okay.
Charles Wilson, Parks Department report.
Everything's looking good. Park's looking sharp.
Yeah.
Keeping up. I think we got Archie Fest coming up, so we'll start getting ready for that. We're not gonna have a great big one, but we're gonna have one.
Yeah, y'all worked a lot on it and tried to make it a good event with no carnival and rides and no carnival food, but I think I think moving the soapbox Derby to town is a
Yeah,
good
that's
move.
gonna be fun, so.
Excuse me.
Maybe we can draw a small crowd anyway. We'll see what happens. We'll try it and see what happens.
Right, and we're still, and I'll speak for Craig, I mean, we're up in there on baseball. I think he's still trying to put together an abbreviated season, and I don't know, you know, it might be the end of the month. And like I said,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, whenever he gets ready, whatever I need to do to help him, all I gotta do is holler.
I've had some people that coach here in Clinton said, you know, we'll just do pickup games or whatever. I think with this, phase two, it'll help us a lot.
Yeah.
And just be responsible.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
so, okay,
Everything's
anything?
looking good down there. I mean, if anybody's got any complaints or questions, I'm doing my best.
Yeah, it looks good. I
Tried
went
to-
for a walk the other day. It's looking good.
I think it looks better than it's ever looked. I really do.
I think it's a long way around that thing.
Yeah,
long
it
ways
is. I
around
walk
that
it every day.
I don't think I've ever walked it. all.
Nobody really realizes how much. I mean, there's 30-something acres there.
We talked about, talking to Tim on the overlay. We're still trying to put some money together. I know we need the overlay.
I had a bid on that at one time.
Right. Well, I want to use that from a long time.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think it was only like 58,000.
You like those. You
Yeah.
said it. Maybe we can find some money for that. Anything else for Charles? I want to have you back in the street in a minute and talk, you know,
Okay.
all that. Okay, would you send in John, Police Department? Thank you. John Willoughby, police report.
Get my stuff here. Sinking in a little short this week here. All right, we had like, guys kinda had a heyday here last month. They wrote 151 citations, 25 warnings. We filed 3 felony charges, 1 misdemeanor charge. Jay started about 3 new investigations, closed 1, and we did a search warrant. We've been a little bit busier, so we're still not been able to take anybody up there to jail. They're still kind of got that closed up a little bit, so maybe it'll open up pretty soon and everything. We just have to improvise and do whatever we can do, you know.
Y'all are doing a good job of that. I know Lucas too, because that's
Yeah, I mean, he is. He's doing the best he can, you know, and
appreciate
everything, trying to keep
the other day,
everybody.
the prayer that they had down there. That was uneventful, and we're glad for that. Thought it would be, but y'all were on point, you and the county.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
inconspicuous, but ready to go, and I
Yeah.
appreciate y'all coordinating that.
You
No
bet,
problem.
'cause, you know, we didn't have any problems there. I mean, everybody was
I
cordial
know,
and,
yeah.
and everything there, so, you know,
Sure.
I didn't think we'd have any problems there.
I didn't either, but y'all were on point.
So
and
we're
I
there, we were
appreciate
there,
it.
just in case and everything. We're not looking to have anything here that I know of that's gonna be any kind of protest or anything that I know of. So, but we're continuing doing what we can do here.
Okay, anything for the chief?
Have they said anything about when they're gonna open that jail back up some more? Or are they just housing federal prisoners out there now, or what's the deal?
Basically, and then sometimes they'll take somebody in up there, you know, but
Kind of makes the point of needing a new jail kind of, not needing one, because we can't lock local people up that need to be locked up. We're just housing federal prisoners. It's kind of a business, it looks to me like.
you know, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
they're just, they're keeping it kind of quarantined a little bit, I guess,
Yeah.
is what you'd say, you know.
Hmm.
But, you know, luckily they ain't had any sickness up there, so, I mean, you know, whatever they're doing, it's working for them anyway on that.
Yeah.
But, we're gonna do the best we can, you know, if we have to take somebody to jail and they can't take them, I'm pretty sure I can, get with Tracy up at Searcy County and have somebody locked up if I need to, you know, so it ain't no big deal. I mean,
Yeah, but it looks bad. We've got a jail out there and we can't put the people that live here in it that need to go and, you know, yeah. So, I know that's not your deal.
I know. I mean, it's one of them deals. I mean, we can only do what we can do, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on everywhere.
Yeah.
Cities and states are having to,
Yeah.
counties are, it's tough.
It's
you know?
tough. It's really tough, so.
Is Conway taking them?
Yeah, Conway's taking, and I think, Conway County's taking some, you know.
I think the
So,
higher
So
the
we
office.
could, go ahead.
No, I mean,
We could take them to Conway or
yeah, you
Conway
could
County
take
if
them
we
to
had
Conway. Our best bet would be to go to Searcy County with them,
Yeah.
you know. I mean,
They're cheaper up there.
Yeah, I can deal with Tracy. She's nobody. I can deal with her. But, you know.
I will say, just when I've seen in court, you know, we have occasions sometimes with people in custody in court. From what I've seen, there's always been an arrangement where we've been able to get people where they need to go,
Yeah.
other counties or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever our situation is here, we've been able to still serve the needs of people by getting them other places.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I understand your concern. I'm not trying to discount that, but we've been able to work around it.
Yeah. mean,
I think everybody, city counties made some pretty good modifications. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying, it seemed like the higher up the office, the more you got on you. You know, I know Ace is, he's aging, but he's doing a good job.
Oh, yeah. And I was going to tell you, you know, Kelly, if y'all didn't know, Kelly resigned, went to work for Walmart, so we had to hire somebody else. We hired Audie Duprain. He's going to make a good officer. And everything, he started last night. So,
Same slot.
I think he's going to do real good, you know, and everything. But we're watching our budget, you know, we're really trying to keep tight on our budget and everything. We did have to get him some clothes, I mean, but he used some of my clothing allowance because I didn't use all mine or anything, so, you know, we're just trying to,
Well, we talked about that.
yeah,
so.
we're just trying to
Yeah.
just keep it going, keep it on a low there. So,
Okay, anything else for the chief?
Has all of them got body cameras now?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Everybody's got body cameras. I mean, I even got a little small one that I got from state police and different things, so.
Good deal.
But we're just telling the guys, you know, if they have to go hands-on with somebody, you know, remember their training. That's why we keep doing training, guys. That's why, that's what it all boils down to, is training.
Yeah.
And you keep them trained and keep them within the policy and everything, you're not gonna have any problems, you know, so. Other than that, guys, that's all I got.
Okay, anything else? Thank you. Would you send in Charles?
Send Charles back in. All right.
Wonder, maybe Mr. Mayor, if it would be more efficient for us to, I know it's alphabetical order, but put Charles two together, that way you don't have to come in and go out and we sit here and wait every time.
No.
As long as it's COVID.
Let's stay with it. Yeah, it would be. I can tweak that. It's, yeah.
We got Robert rules we don't have to do.
I have trouble with alphabetical order anyway. I didn't know it started with a W. Charles, we were just talking about you. So,
Good.
Yeah.
Give somebody else a break.
Report of the street department.
We've been got several streets pushed back. We've been kind of mowing,
Yeah,
keeping up.
helping the
cleaning up
drainage a
bunch of-
lot.
So we're working on that. Of course, it's wet, so we're gonna have to let everything dry up a little bit. So.
We have a first reading of we were gonna, on our ordinance for, basically, you know, we're first reading, we're gonna do 3 readings, but basically talked about up in the, but we'll talk about that. I want you to come back if you can on that ordinance. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But I did notice that Corals is pouring for the water
Yeah, the
department.
water department,
And doing a really good job, and I know you're there my concern always on that is the elevations, and it's good, and he's not using rebar, which I think is good
Yeah.
on a patch. It uses that fiber.
I told them, man, they agreed to go ahead and get everything up on School Hill
Yeah.
before school started, get all that
Yeah.
set back up, get all that done before school started, because that traffic's heavy, so once they
Well,
get that
Rogers,
up, then we can.
he
get
does,
everything
I
done.
you don't have to worry about him, you know,
Yeah.
That's right.
it's deep, you're getting a,
Yeah, I looked at them
Yeah.
the other day, yesterday, when I went through, and
I did
They
too, and
were
I'm like,
6, 8
wow, who's
inches
doing
deep.
this?
Yeah,
And
they
then
were
I saw
6,
him
so-
like, good.
so they should hold up good, should be pretty.
They
good
will,
seal.
people are,
And
keep me
We'll
away
just keep
from it.
plugging it, trying to keep streets pushed back. This humidity's made all the privet hedges and stuff take off wide open, so it's hard to keep up with them. We got, a tree fell down by school, and then we got another tree there that, I need to call the tree service to come out and top it out for me. It's kind of a bad situation there, so.
That's in our ditch, in our right, it's
Yeah,
bad. I
it's
saw
on,
it.
it's right on the
Massive.
side of our street, but I mean, it may not be our responsibility, but it is our responsibility to protect the kids and stuff that live in that house, and I don't wanna see it go through one of the bedrooms or
Well,
something,
it's-
so.
Main thing, like you said, the root balls, when they come out with the pine that's down under, you start washing in under, you know, and that's,
Yeah.
a lot of water comes through there.
We got a lot of work to do once we get that tree out of the way.
All that comes from your bar up there where y'all are,
Everything on School Hill and back up around by, Blaggs and all that come through there, so there's a lot of water rushes through there. So we gotta do a little patching there once we get the tree out of the way. And
that privet hedge, you just need to work faster.
yes, that stuff's,
Kill them all.
I hate privet heads.
No, y'all have maintained pretty good and appreciate the work at Town Branch when you have time. And I wasn't worried about the rain the other night. If it had been bad, you was ready for it. and
Yeah.
Did a lot, so I appreciate that.
Try to keep everything ahead. Of course, right now the leaves ain't falling, so it's easy to keep up with, but when the leaves start falling, it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
But if anybody's got any questions or somewhere we need to go with the street or something, we'll.
No, if you could, I would like, just when we do that street cutting, that ordinance here, I got Will and I may take a little bit on the water, and then Tim, and then you're the first up if you got time.
Yeah, I'll make time.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, everybody good with him? Send in Will and Orrin and Nick, please.
Go someplace with this man.
I've got a roast in the oven. Will Hinchey, Orrin, Nick with CWP. Water Department report, and then we'll talk about two things. I referenced this in our introduction, ANRC. Since after the first year, we've been looking at an industrial rate, anybody over 100,000 gallons. And I was talking to Orrin earlier, I've been waiting before I come to make officially start pursuing that, see if we want to do that. Had to get permission from our lenders, which is ANRC, which is also our auto read meter, so we had to go through that. So we spent, I thought, a long time, and Orrin and them told me actually it went pretty fast, and I'll take your word for it. But had to get permission from a lender if we can pursue this, is it gonna affect our bottom line? We got that back yesterday afternoon. So I went ahead and included that in here on this. We'll talk about that, but go ahead and give your report. Also, I think we'll need a motion second tonight to go ahead and initiate, starting, pursuing a bond for our 10-year plan that covers that. But
That's correct.
go ahead, I've talked enough.
All right. This last month, water chemical, or the chemicals for the water treatment was at 9 cents a thousand. And our water loss for the whole system was 33%. We got Burnt Ridge down quite a bit, and it helped that. So we're down to 33 from last month was 36, and March was 43. So we do have it down some. About the only thing I got to update on right now, the only project we got going on is 65 North. And right now, them slides, we were just busting old lines, and now we're busting new lines. They're going in there and fixing the slides where the bank's sliding, and they're taking out chunks of new line or the new line separating. They are going to reinforce those slides and then relay our pipe, at their expense. conversation with some of the engineers today. They're actually wanting to put some of that back into a private easement, the way it used to be. They're putting it on me to get that easement, but I just got notified today that there's a section there north of Watergate Road that they're wanting to do on private easement if we can get the easement. So that's what we'll get started on next week.
Practically, that's probably a good thing in some spots.
It's a good thing long term. It's great.
Yeah.
Well,
It's great, but
will they, do more line that way? Put new more?
they'll put more line
New
in.
line in?
Yeah. They'll go in there once we get that easement and they'll relay the line that's separated.
We were just getting it up the ditch, but now since we get it.
Well, they actually put it 5 foot within the highway easement from the very outside, so we're actually quite a ways off. But if we could do private's better for long term.
It is if you can get, and you're having a bad, rough time.
Yeah, but Orrin and I were talking earlier, you don't call somebody one day and say, hey, we need that easement, the contractor's gonna be here next week. So we're gonna start working on that pretty hot and heavy, and hopefully, we don't know whose property that is at this point or anything, so we'll be looking into that. So if you know anybody that owns property on the west side of the road, 65 north past Watergate, let me know. So, besides that, like I talked, Mayor had mentioned earlier, after we did the rate increase and everything, city council as the mayor and city council had got to thinking a little bit about bringing new business in or not running off old businesses that are here. So we had been talking about a high volume or an industrial rate. So I started working on it, and I did come up with different options, and we have submitted an option to A&RC to get permission to see if that was even feasible, still pay our loans. We just heard back, like the mayor said, yesterday at 5 o'clock. We got an email. So today, we've got an ordinance wrote up. I want to present that to you. Want to speak on it a little bit, yeah.
And I think you have it. I've got 3 hard copies you can pass out to y'all I think have it, or you can give it to Mark or somebody.
And Orrin, he can speak on it too, but basically what it is, if you want to be considered an industrial user in the classification here is over 100,000 gallons a month. So your minimum would be 100,000 gallons. So if a customer wants to be considered industrial and they come to the office and they're gonna ask me about this industrial rate, first thing I wanna let them know is you're tied to 100,000 gallons, whether you use 100,000 gallons or not. That is your minimum.
Well, I've had calls from a processing place, and y'all are familiar with that.
Yes.
The car wash, Scrubbies, has emailed me a couple of times, and I said, look, I've been working on something. I gotta get permission from our lenders before I can even present it,
Yeah.
if they'll even let us
And
do
that's
it.
why we've not presented this before out to the public or anything, because if we had presented this, everybody got their hopes up, or everybody got disappointed about it either way. If A&RC had come back and said, we're not gonna let you change that rate, it would have been for nothing. So A&RC has reviewed it. They have made sure that we could go ahead and make our debts, and they have looked over the new rate. So at that time, no one has any questions for me about anything else, projects going on or anything?
No, I'll do that. I wanna put this on the first reading. I can do that if
Okay.
you wanted to. I'll go ahead and do that right now, if you have that in front of you. I'll entertain a motion second. Place on the first reading, ordinance amending sections 10.08.01 and 10.08.02 of the Clinton Municipal Code and prescribing other matters relating thereto.
I make a motion to put it on the first reading.
I'll second
Motion
it.
second, any discussion with the council? What I want to say is the rate that we came up with is something equitable, it's across the board. It's anyone is privy to it. If you use over 100,000
Yes.
gallons, then that's fine.
Yes. And that'd be on water and sewer.
Yeah, and this is something we'll put out there, and we'll work on it and come back next month and hit it again in the public.
I went back through my notes. I'm trying to figure out what is our current commercial rate? Refresh my memory.
I don't have it in front of me right now, but we have different ones as far as the 2-inch meter or 4-inch meter. They're all different. So a 2-inch meter, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say their minimum was like $80 to $82, and then after that it's $6.30 a thousand for water and
So on
sewer.
this industrial rate, what size meter do they have?
won't matter. It's just rolled up as minimum is $400 for water, $400 for sewer. And then it's $4 per thousand thereafter.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, so we have a commercial customer, and I don't know what the number is, but I figured it on the residential rate, okay? So if you're on a residential rate, if you hit the 100,000 gallons, if you don't hit 100,000, or you get right at 100,000, based on what you're being charged at a residential rate, say you use 99,000 or
It'd still be,
999, you're gonna pay way more than $400.
Yes.
And so my question is there a way we can make that more fair to those businesses who are never gonna hit that $100,000, but 100,000 gallons, but, see what I'm saying? Because it might cause some animosity in,
Yeah.
amongst the
Yeah,
business
well,
people.
that's why when we were discussing it, I said the city council needed to decide if you want to do this at 50,000 or if you want to do it at 100. And
We said we gotta pick a point, and it's gonna be that on even 50, and it was something that, I don't
Yeah.
wanna speak for you, but that was.
I'm not talking about the amount, volume of water, I'm talking about the price, so maybe that 400 needs to be a little higher at 100,000. Maybe it needs to be 600, closer to what it would be on a residential customer going up to $100,000. See what I'm getting at?
Yeah, well, it's on, it's on
Yeah.
the
A
first.
commercial customer would get there quicker because their rates are higher.
Yeah.
But the residential rate is the only one I had figured on. That's the lowest rate, so that's where I come up with that. But I couldn't find the numbers.
the residential and commercial right now, they both pay the same per thousand.
Okay.
Yes.
If, whatever the magic number is, but if you wanted to say, hey, I'm gonna, even if I'm never gonna get there and I wanna pay that $400 because it would be a better rate, then could they do that if they said, hey?
Yeah,
You know.
yes. I mean, I've actually worked this up out of request for the city council, so if the city council wants to add any other resolutions or anything, they can. I would just ask to do this for, and,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, if there is somebody out there that will use a car wash, and a car wash, like Jeff's saying, wasn't paying, they're paying $1,000 a month, every month, then.
Yeah, I've
Would
looked
it
at
not be better
several,
to
I've looked
do
at
that?
several of our customers. We have a couple of turkey farmers or chicken
Yes.
farmers. And I've looked at that, and in some months, six months out of the year, it would be in their interest to be on that rate. And the other 6 months out of the year, their water bill is $100. So that
But
would
it
be,
would probably
that would be
average
up
out.
to the customer to decide whether I want to say that I'm gonna use 100,000 gallons a month or not to be on that.
That's
So.
what, and do a 12-month contract or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not automatic. They have to actually sign up, and you're either on that rate or you're not, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just if you hit 100,000 gallons, you're not going to get the rate. You have
Yeah,
to-
say a new customer comes in, someone's gonna put in a new store or something in town, and they come in and question about the rates. We tell them we got commercial rate and then we have an industrial rate. Industrial rate, you have to use, whether you use 100,000 gallons a month or not,
Your minimum.
is 100,000 gallons. You'll get billed that whether you use 77, 100 or whatever.
That was my thought.
Try to pick a blanket deal and not gear it toward, well, Jeff needs we get it to this magic number. If you use that and we just pick that, it was a fair number, it's not, it doesn't usurp our.
If I got a residential
wholesale
customer
customers.
that wants to use that much water and get signed up on that rate, I will try to talk them out of it. But if they come in and say, well, I use, 900 gallons a month and my bill's high, I want to just be able to pocket this money here and say it's this amount every month, they can do it, but I don't think we're gonna run into that.
My point is, I just think, and I know this is just a rough draft. I mean, this is going to change probably. Could change. I don't know. We're going to have a town hall meeting and two more readings after this one. But I'm just saying, worrying about who's going to get what rate. It might be easier to just to set that base industrial rate a little higher, where it would be closer to. That way, they wouldn't have people saying, "Well, it's not fair," or wanting to do that.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's one of the questions that's going to come up for sure. I know
Yeah.
someone's going to ask it, and I'm just getting it out there.
Sure.
The only thing about changing what we've already worked on, anything we change will have to be back approved through AMRC.
Yeah.
Because they are the
Even if
only
it's
entity
higher,
that we,
even if the rate's higher.
they still want to see the rate. If you'll read how that's rolled up in there, it says as long as the minimum is this, and ARC has looked over it, then yes.
And we
They
had
have
to do
approved this.
because for the auto read meters, that's who we're getting the loan from, and they're our creditor, and they had to say,
We actually didn't have to do it for this. We did it out of respect because we're trying to get it, but we actually already owe ANRC for our clarifier project that we did down at the water
Right.
treatment plant. That is the only outstanding debt that we have, is on that clarifier project, and that's through ANRC. So if we had owed USDA, we had to get their permission to, so.
okay.
Now, I do not see a problem if they've already lowered this. This is as low as I felt comfortable as going, is the reason we submitted this. I mean, if they'll say yes to this, then they'll say yes to the $6 of that, and then whatever. But,
And I'm just talking about the base rate, I'm not talking about the per thousand, I'm just
Yeah.
talking about the base rate, just to
yeah.
You're saying instead of paying $400.
pay maybe closer to what it would be on a commercial customer that was reaching close to that, but that way, they can't say, well, every month I get this close, and I'm paying 600, something, and this
Mhm.
guy's only paying 400.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But just a couple $100 a month, I don't think that's gonna kill them, I know their water bills are really,
Well,
really
say
high.
if we did the first 100,000 at the 630, just because we're doing a residential customer and a commercial customer at 630.
Right.
You're talking,
Yeah.
we're talking $630 there and so it'd be $1,260 a month.
Okay.
So,
That's my next question.
that's not much of a discount from what they're already paying.
Not-
Because most of the customers we have we only have like one customer that uses way over 100,000 gallons a month. Most of them, like your car washes, your laundry mats and stuff, they're almost 100,000. So pretty much they'll be having the same bill as what they already have.
So if you went to $600 for the first 100,000 gallons and you left it at $4 per 1,000 gallons, it would be a lot higher?
No, we left it at $4
Yeah,
for
that's what I'm
first.
saying, I'm not talking about.
So you're
I'm not
saying
talking about the
going up
$4, yeah,
on-
I'm just talking about the base $400, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because once you hit 100,000, then that's, you're on the industrial rate, so.
Yeah.
But you could be one of those customers, 75, 80,000 gallons of water and you're paying more than $400 a month, it's kind of, see what I'm saying?
But it'd be 400 for water and 400 for sewer. That's what we got.
My question is for the couple that I know of, chicken farmers, they don't have sewer,
It'd be the 400 for the water then.
but it don't have to have both, I
No.
guess. Okay.
All of our rates are one or they're either both or they're one.
Yeah.
So,
and anything is working, just go by there, and when he ain't up on 65 North,
Well,
say.
and that's another deal. I mean, I'm doing this out of
Right, yeah,
request.
look, it came in yesterday.
I'm not complaining. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
no,
that.
no, I agree, that's why yeah.
Sounds, we're good.
Okay.
Like I said,
I'm
I'm
gonna
doing this
read it.
other request for the city, so if the city council has any other recommendations or anything, I'll handle, they come to me and wanted this, so we got permission from ANRC, so that's where we're at.
I'm gonna read it, so whoever, doesn't have it, we just have it. That's it.
Need a vote.
I can't hear you.
Vote.
Okay,
Vote for the first
We
reading.
got a first and second.
I'm sorry, in discussion. Well, I need not, okay, I'll
Hold on.
call for a vote. Then
Barnes,
I was gonna read it before we voted, but go ahead.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
You ready? Ordinance amending sections 10-0801 and 10.0802 of the Clinton Municipal Code and prescribing other matters relating thereto. Whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas, the city owns and operates water and sewer facilities, which water and sewer facilities are operated as one interrelated municipal undertaking, the system. And whereas the existing rates for service of water facilities of the system are codified in sections 10.08 and .01 of the Clinton Municipal Code, and whereas the existing rate for service of the sewer facilities of the system are codified in sections 10.08.02 of the Clinton Municipal Code, and whereas it is necessary for the city to amend sections 10.08.01 and 10.08.02 of the Municipal Code in order to add a rate category for industrial customers. Now therefore be ordained by the City Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, Sections 10.08.01A of the Clinton Municipal Code is hereby amended by adding the following: 14 It's Clinton industrial customers. First 100,000 gallons, $400. All 100,000 gallons, $4 per 1,000 gallons. All over 100,000, $4 per 1,000 gallons. Section 2, sections 10.08.01C and D of the Clinton Municipal Code is hereby amended to read as follows. Section C, the water rates in A1 through 11 and A14 shall be increased by 5% on October 1st, 2020, and on each October 1st thereafter through October 1st, 2024. The water rates in A12 and 13 above shall be increased by 5% on January 1, 2020, and on each January thereafter, January 1st, 2025. Each customer who connects with the water facilities of the system shall pay a meter deposit as follows. Residential, $100 water and $50 sewer. Commercial/industrial, $150 water and $100 sewer. Section 3, 10.08.02 of the Clinton Municipal Code is hereby amended to read as follows. 10.08.02 sewer rates. The following rates and charges which the city of Clinton, Arkansas hereby find and declare are fair, reasonable, and necessary minimum rates to be charged for sewer services, and they are hereby fixed as rates to be rendered by the system. Sewer rates for each residential customer served by the system. First 1,000 gallons or less, $14.07. All over 1,000 gallons, $6.30 per 1,000 gallons. For each commercial customer served by the system, first 1,000 gallons or less, $15.75. All over 1,000 gallons, $6.30 per 1,000 gallons. For each industrial customer served by the system, first 100,000 gallons or less, $400. All over 100,000 gallons, $4 per 1,000 gallons. The sewer rates above shall be increased by 5% on October 1st, 2020, and each October through October 1st, 2024. Monthly billings for sewer systems shall be made with and as part of the water system billings, and payment of water service shall not be accepted without the payment for the sewer system service. No customer shall be allowed to connect to the sewer system unless such customer is also connected to the water system. None of the facilities or services afforded by the sewer system shall be furnished without charge or being made therefore. There shall be tapping fee for each customer who hereafter connects with and uses the sewer facilities of the system. The fee for sewer taps shall be as follows. Sewer taps, residential, $450. Commercial and industrial, $475. Section 4. The provisions of this ordinance are separable, and if a section, phrase, or provision shall be declared invalid, such declaration shall not affect the validity of the remainder of the ordinance. Section 5, all ordinances and resolutions and parts thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. So that's that. We have it on the first reading. I appreciate that. I'm sorry.
And at what point can we make amendments to this?
I don't know. It's in the process. I don't know. That's not, I don't know.
You can move to them, I mean.
I think you do a resolution to say, I think that's how you do it.
Resolution.
And that last thing, no, the last part of the ordinance, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, because I mean, I'm gonna leave that other stuff we talked about alone, but this right here where it says no customer shall be allowed to connect to the sewer system unless each customer is also connected to the water system. I mean, it's not always available. I think we need to clarify that where it's available, because sometimes sewer's not available. I mean, I don't have.
Oh, it's just saying you can't hook to the sewer unless you're already on the city water. You can't
No
drill
way.
a well and be on the sewer.
There's no way to
You're
check
also a water customer.
how much amount of.
Yeah, and that's already on it, that's not changed.
Right.
That part just had to be read because it's part of the ordinance, that's not changed, that's
Okay.
the same.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and that's not a water customer, you can't just be on sewer and not be on, you can't get on, we can't say you can't connect to our water. because
Yeah, I
you're
had
on
it
sewer
backwards. I was
because-
thinking water. Yeah.
Well, you can ask Ryan Bowman.
Because we only have 1,000 customers on
See, that-
sewer and we got 3,200 on water, so I mean,
Right.
it's, yeah. All that is, we have had customers call in the past, not since I've been here, and they said, we want to get on city sewer, but they have a well. Well, there's no way to bill them except through their meter. You know, the city council could come up with a rate, you know, but in the past, it's not happened, so.
I don't think the meter'd work too good after a little while.
Yeah, it's hard to meter sewer.
Okay, the other part is you need a motion and a second.
You wanna give a little
Go
update
ahead,
on that
Warren.
as far as talking to the balance bond?
And you can add to anything that we've said up here.
I think you pretty much covered the industrial rate. The only thing is that I have a legal question for Chad regarding the reading of the first ordinance. If you amend the actual number of whatever comes out of the council's decision on that, so do you have to start all over again with the first reading and then go into your 10-day public hearing, or can, through the public hearing process, revise this amended after the first reading and suspend the second and third reading?
Yeah, so we can do our reading here, there can be an amendment to that. We have to suspend the rules for the first, second, third reading, put them all in one. Instead of doing the first reading and the second and third reading, we'd be doing all three, basically, because you'd end up at that point with a new ordinance.
Correct.
And you'd be putting them all three on one reading at that point.
Okay.
So that's,
Yeah, so good, because what I would
You
be
can do
concerned
that,
about is that we
yeah.
started over again, and next thing you know, we're
Started.
looking, September.
Another, yeah, it took a long time
yeah.
Right,
to get here.
right, exactly. So that's,
Yeah.
okay, thank you very much. On the conventional bond, we did present that to, or the request that the commission petition the council to go ahead and make a second and a motion to start the proceedings with working with a bond agent and also a bond counsel. And the reason is for that is that the interest rates have gone down. They're somewhere around 3 to 3.25 right now, and so that's a really good interest rate. And so we want to try to take advantage of it, especially with a volatile market like we've seen. So we want to start the proceedings regarding the conventional bond. So what we presented to the commission is that to petition the council to make a motion and second and say, hey, start the proceedings. And then we come back, once we start the proceedings, come back to you with an actual bond, and then you don't get the proceeds from the bond until about 40 days after you enact that. So we're still looking at a little bit of a process to actually get the proceeds of the bonds, but we just wanted to make sure the council was aware. We didn't want to do anything without your permission to start the process and dealing with bond counsel and bonding agent.
You need CWB, you need a motion second to begin work with a bond agent and bond counsel for a bond application.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion and a second for that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Oh, you said, a second.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Who'd be our bond agent?
Bonding agent, Bob Wright came and presented, so, there's a couple of them that do it, Stevens and then Cruz and Associates. Cruz and Associates, I believe, has been involved with the city before, so I probably stick with Bob on that, and he had to be the bonding agent on that, and the bond counsel would be Ryan Bowman on that as well.
Can you refresh me a little bit on the bond side of it? This is the 10-year plan or just a bond for?
It's the first bond of two, so
On the 10-year.
On the 10-year
On that
capital,
10-year
yes,
plan.
that is correct. So we're going to have two bonds, but this is the first bond, and to start the process. And I can bring it next time, but on the capital improvement plan, we actually have a listing of what was included on bond one,
Yeah.
and so we have those
I have
earmarked that.
that.
So, yes, sir.
Pretty sure we had that last, 2 months, 3 months ago. something like that.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else for Will or going? Appreciate you.
Thank
A
you.
lot. Have a-
Appreciate you. We're excited about getting started, turning some dirt. So we
Well,
appreciate you guys.
You know you know where I am on it.
Oh yeah.
I wish.
Whole yard
we'd done it
pump
6
station.
months
Oh, yeah.
ago, but,
Yeah.
I mean.
Richard,
But our
we got a vote.
Yeah, they got.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
We vote on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm just wondering, I mean, we will have a follow-up report from the bonding.
Oh yeah. No, you will have an actual bond to approve.
So, okay.
Okay.
You're
Yes.
just getting numbers.
We're just getting started.
We have, we're still in discussion, we have, a bond that It's mainly for public to know that it just went away, went off
It was paid off.
this year, just paid off this year. There's another one that would be done the first of next year.
No, the only debt that you have, and Will can correct me if I'm mistaken, is that you only have the clarifier now with ANRC. All other debt has been either paid or resolved.
So some of the, so there was two that was like last year and current year then. Because wasn't there two right
The
together?
next bond actually goes up in like, I don't know, you have to, like 30 years.
30 years,
So,
it's a 30, on the ANRC, it's a 30-year bond, what Donna said the other day.
Yeah. We only had two, we only had two bonds out. We had a bond we used on the sewer and wastewater side, and it just come up, it actually wasn't due until next year, but we were able to pay it off early, so we just paid it
That's
off
the one
last
I'm
month.
thinking of,
Yes,
the one that's
yes,
20,
and then we have
21,
another, we have our other outstanding debt through ANRC, that's for the clarifier project, and it goes off the books, it was close to 30 years from now, so. And that right there is paid by that $3 per meter that's on each bill. That's how that ANRC bond is paid.
Yeah, the $3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that $3 will go off after that bond is paid for. But that is, it's billed on all of Van Buren County customers, B Branch customers, City of Clinton's customers. Every meter, every bill will have a $3 charge, and that's to pay that clarifier for the ANRC.
Yeah, it has, it's there now.
Yes.
Just trying to think if I want to bring this up. Or so. Nah, I wouldn't. It's okay.
Anything else? I'll call for a vote.
Barnes,
A big yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Thank you, appreciate y'all.
Drive safe. Appreciate you, Will.
Anything else for me? You
I'll
good?
see you tomorrow. 65 North. Would you send in Tim Clark, please?
My ears stick out.
Zoning report, Tim Clark.
The first thing I was supposed to say is this yellow jacket mask. I got it at Goods Cash Shavers, register 1.
That makes different sizes?
Why?
Nothing.
Is it making my ears stick out? Is that what you're saying?
I can't. I never can. But go ahead. Sorry. There'll be Pavad in the house.
Yeah. I know last month I said I was gonna bring to you guys something to vote on for rezoning, but I don't have that. The zoning commission tabled that till next month. There's a issue with spot zoning. And by definition, what we got, if we passed it, you guys passed it, it would be considered a perfect example of spot zoning. And I may have misspoke in the commission meeting, so let me make it clear. Spot zoning in itself is not illegal. Are there cases out there that somebody has rezoned something and they've sued and they won? Yes. But in itself, spot zoning is not illegal. It all comes back to what is your reason? Here's my reason why we did this. 15 years from now, if I come in here on my walker and I say, hey, I got a piece of property up here in a residential area and I want you to rezone it commercial. What's your reason? Well, me and Councilman Barnes, we're in the same fraternity, so help a brother out. probably not a good reason, okay? So they're gonna look at that next month again, and possibly when I come back, we'll have a recommendation. It's like I told them, when I go before the council, we either recommend to do it, or we recommend not to do it, and here are the reasons why. Not, definition of spot zoning is, you got a small parcel of land, and you're going to rezone it for the sole purpose of helping the landowner, and that's it. So that's our concern right now. It's precedence, what we're setting for the future. If we do this for this reason, for this person, then we've got to do it for this reason, for everybody in the future. So they're gonna revisit that next month. The A&P committee, we've got the Metro Bass Club tournament Saturday and Sunday this weekend, so they'll be doing their weigh-ins at 3:30 on both of those days. Drove by today and saw several boats at the hotels, so that's a good thing. If anybody wants to come by the park between 3:30 and 5:30, be lots of boats down there doing their weigh-ins.
I should know, Sunday is also the same time weigh-in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they weigh in. They'll start coming into the park about 3:30.
All right.
The only other thing I've got, we've got a couple of remodel permits that got pulled. Beaver's Family Dentistry, we've got 2 remodels pulled for Hall Street, over by La Rositas, Morgan's Law Firm. Had 2 signed permits pulled, and I think that's about it. Any questions?
City guy, working on City Hall, fixing to get fired. He not pulled a permit, has he?
Hey, we're doing good on that.
I'll address that under mayor's comments. Anything else for zoning? Thank you. Would you send Charles back in?
Okay, thank you.
Brings us to old business. There is none. New business, an ordinance for a street cut, a bond on the first reading. Brought you back in here. We've been talking for quite a while. We had some overlays, and then you come down. We have an ordinance. I've got the entire ordinance there. You look it up. But our concern was we was getting a lot of streets being cut and no one checking in with anybody.
Yeah, we've had a.
Most of that
couple
stemmed from a
times,
gas company.
yeah, gas and fiber optic line people too.
Right.
They crushed tiles and just covered them up with dirt and drove off like they were. And one instance, it caused a lot of trouble up there at the phone company. It pushed that water back up to that phone building.
Yeah, we back got in trouble there that night. So we've been kicking this around for a while. Utilities and individuals, water and sewer utilities, telephone, subcontractors, gas, electricity, even consider house driveways, small time. We picked a number. Basically, we went from a $150 bond that's required to a $2,000 bond. Now, I've talked to some of the utility owners already, Randy and or if we're the contractor, the city itself. What I don't want to get into is here's Jeff wanting to tie into the street, and he's wanting to do a good job and tie his driveway in there. Well, put $2,000 up, and then you get it back, and you're just wearing people out. Main thing is have the system in place and where we can.
Where they'll at least call me. So
Well,
we can
well,
go look
that's
and
it.
see what's
Go
going
through
on.
the procedure that's there and should be there. And if there is damage, the tile, and that basically where we come up with that $2,000 amount is, if you crush the end of a tile, that's about what it is to yank it out, replace it.
And put it all back concrete,
Right.
and then you gotta worry about when it comes back to overlays again, so.
Right.
Then you got a street on the list for overlay, because you got a tile cut.
Well, this is a first reading, and I just want to get this out there and start the process. Same as the other deal, if you have something come to me. I did reach the guy, I mentioned that a couple of meetings ago, maybe 1 meeting ago, from Center Point. He's over Cleveland, Faulkner, and Van Buren County. He said, look, I am over Van Buren County. I have been coming up there and just kind of making cuts. And Charles was pointing out, a lot of times they'll make a cut on a street right by the edge. Worst thing you can do, if you can, you don't want to undermine it, but if you don't have to cut it, don't do it. So it was kind of just getting out of hand. But the ones you just fixed, and Roger Quarles, I think, is doing the work for the water department, is really good.
Yeah, they're looking nice.
Some of the concerns that I brought up, well, it was the $2,000. Also, recorder treasurer, I'm gonna read this here in just a minute, maybe be signed by also the street supervisor to make sure that someone in the know.
Well, they used to do it.
Right.
And it kind of fell out of it, everybody, because they
Well,
always.
I think we have things in place, just
Yeah.
follow what we've got. But one of the main thing was the $150, somebody, I can pay that.
Yeah.
And do, I paid my bond and here it is. Still need a listing, for the city contracts, 2,000, any waivers, and I mean, there's a lot to consider. Main thing for me is the amount, and also the street superintendent. Charles needs to know, because you're over the streets, and also the elevations. That's pretty critical. Sometimes you can say, I don't want concrete poured this high. I want to cover it with asphalt. But the ones we've made so far, it's fine, especially if it's around the head of a waterhead and no rebar in it. That's
Yeah.
just,
And
I
they're
think you're
deep.
better off not.
I mean, they dug them out 6-8 inches deep.
Right, no, they're all sufficiently deep.
They were good. In fact, they're doing an excellent job on them, so.
Well, I just wanted to get to the,
And with this bond too, it'll make the contractors do a little better job. I mean,
sure they will.
$2,000 is a lot of money, even with somebody that makes big money, it's still a lot of money. That's a lot of wages, so they're gonna be on them boys, like, y'all need to pay attention to what you're doing, so.
Right.
It'll help all around, I believe. And they get their money back.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion and second to put this ordinance, an ordinance of the city of Clinton, Arkansas, to increase the bond required for street excavations on the first reading.
I make a motion to put on the first reading.
Second, any other discussion?
Yeah, I just want to know, is $2,000 enough money?
Well, it'll pretty well cover a tile and do the concrete, but it won't do the overlays or any of that. I mean, roughly, most of our tiles are 24 inches, which run about $800, and then you have $200-300 worth of gravel and your diesel and your time. So, yeah, it's right at 2,000. I mean.
Well, this is per job.
Well, they put in that $2,000 bond, and if they don't mess up any tiles, at least we have their name. Right now, we don't know what contract. All this has been contracted out, this fiber optic, by 4 different companies. So you don't know, every one I've talked to is like, no, we didn't do that, this guy's done it.
Right, that's what you
And
get
then you
in.
call them, no, we didn't
Good
do that,
question,
these
per
guys
job
over here
or
did that, so.
per piece?
But so when they come in there and they're like, and I signed off on it, and we got their name and the contract and where they're working, then we know exactly who did it. There's no guessing, no.
But by
In this section, or.
Yeah.
Should be every time the street's gonna.
Every time.
the street there's gonna be cut somewhere, there needs to be an application for a permit and the $2,000 bond every time. So if, just to pick one, Center Point has got a project going, but they've got 7 different things where they're gonna be cutting into the streets, they're gonna have to come up with 7 permits with 7 bonds, because that's.
I was curious.
And then one of my concerns was on the other side of it, that, somebody like Sean Hastings is, I'm just tying in and I've okayed it with Charles, and, or maybe you put one up and it just stays in effect until,
The job's done.
I don't want to, it's like, wow, $2,000 to do a $100 job.
But most of the time, you're gonna be tied in with the water department.
Yeah,
That's
and Charles made that point. He said, look, if they're working for us, the water, go through the water department, maybe get permission from them. I don't know how all that'll work, but what we were at is $150, and you mash into a tile. It's like, I'm sorry about that. And also, the only thing the Center Point's been made aware of, look, You know, that was really where a lot of our, I'm not knocking them, it was just kind of getting, you know, here's a square, here's a square. Well, we threw some asphalt in it and, you know, 3 months later,
Well, there was a lot of speed bumps around there.
but what we're doing now in all those places is good.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, I mean, they done a pretty good job of filling them up, but what are they gonna do in 6 months from now? Or when this heat gets up real high and
Yeah.
that cold mix starts warming up,
Right,
it'll start
right.
smashing out.
Mhm.
And we just have to.
And there's
see
some
how it
places
works
that
out.
definitely you need to say, I need 6 inches of concrete or whatever, and then leave me 2.5 inches for asphalt, you know, because you, but, you know, that's something a street supervisor needs, he needs in on this,
And
elevations.
I really don't understand what their cuts was, but anyway, that's.
What they what?
What their cuts were for, I never did figure that out. Never did really get an answer. I talked to them a couple of times and never got an answer at what the little squares was for. It's like, what did you do here?
Maybe they're
To cause me misery.
I just wanna make clear on this, so contractor shows up, they go up there on Yellow Jacket Lane, they're laying some kind of fiber rock, and they need to cut across the street.
They better call City Hall.
Do not cut.
Right. So they come to you and say, we're gonna cut across the street, it's $2,000 bond. Now, if they go down the street 100 feet and they're gonna do it again, it's another $2,000, okay. Now, my question is, if they're gonna they say they're gonna cut across the street and they're gonna put it back, is $2,000 enough to cover that if they don't put that back right? And if after their job's finished, and you go out there and look at it, and you're satisfied, you give them their money back, what happens if 6 months from now, the bottom falls out of it, they didn't do something right?
You gotta inspect it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's just a chance you're gonna take.
Got the wrong
anywhere. I mean,
street
that's just
supervisor.
Everywhere.
The problem there, it's always our right of way. So that's part of our responsibility, making sure people aren't doing,
Okay.
you know, I mean,
I mean,
it's
that-
hard for us to.
I mean, that's a
It's
chance.
gonna be on you.
Yeah,
well,
I got big shoulders.
not really. He's capable.
I'll just add that the way this is drafted, it just simply changes the bond. That's a bond that applies to every single person, just as it does right now. So if we want to do a waiver, which that's, whatever y'all want to do, it's fine.
Personally, I do.
We'll need to do a little tweak into this, an amendment or something, and so that was something we can
Because
talk
some are
about.
obvious. If I'm just gonna, and it may be answered under curb and gutter or whatever.
If it's just a curb cut, right, you're not really
Yeah,
getting into the
well,
road.
there's
you
a
just need to
section
cut
under
the
that,
curb.
but I just wanna look at it and make sure that if it's something that's quite obvious, and then, you know, an individual can, I'm just thinking from tying a driveway in, it looks better if you make a saw cut and tie it in.
Yep.
Well, in order to make it better, I gotta come up with $2,000 for a week, well, maybe, you know, I don't know, I'm not,
And the saw cuts
we
are
can
the
do
way to go.
we can work on it, we can work on it. I just wanted you in here to,
Because if they don't saw cut, then when they rip up, they lift the
Exactly.
asphalt out.
it's better to have a
So,
straight line.
Then you're gonna have a bump regardless. There's no way to stop it. There's no way to fix it, other than to just rip it all up and cut it and start all over.
So if they're out there working on a right of way and just off of the side of the street, they're not even gonna, they say, we're not gonna do anything to the street, we're just digging it in.
If they're in our right of way, they owe us a $2,000 bond in case they crush a tile or
Okay,
something in
that's
our right
what,
of
that's
way.
what I was gonna
Yeah,
ask.
it's city street, alley, sidewalk, or right of way.
Just wanna make sure we get it right, we're gonna do this, to make sure we get. we're
But
gonna
I'll
be
say
covered.
that the existing actually doesn't say right of way. I actually added that on there,
Okay.
because I think that's important.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's a lot, you got a lot of stuff in there.
Right,
That's where you
right.
get in trouble, even if they do one, call it,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, somebody,
And everybody used to be pretty good about calling when they're setting tiles and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's all just kinda quit. Everybody just. I mean,
it's like running to lunch.
No
you
count,
know.
no accountability.
And you drive through and you're like, well, crap, where'd this tile come from? And then it's about this big around, but the ditch is 2 foot deep and 4 foot high, and it's full of gravel with a 6-inch PVC pipe in it. And you're like, well, I gotta take this out and fix it. So you run into that a lot.
You saying in the last 6 years it's got out of hand? I'll have to agree. All right, we've got a motion, a second, discussion. I do want to read the ordinance. I'll ask for a vote, put it on the first reading, then I'll read the ordinance. So.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Ordinance number 2020 ordinance of the City of Clinton, Arkansas to increase the bond required for street excavations. Whereas the city of Clinton currently requires a bond in the sum of $150 for street excavation permits, and whereas the current bond is not adequate for its purpose of compensating the city should the permit fail to repair the city streets, now therefore it be ordained by the City Council of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, Title 9, Chapter 9.08 of the Code Ordinance of the City of Clinton, Arkansas is hereby amended to read as follows. Chapter 9.08, Excavations and Alterations, Sections 9.0801, Excavation Permit, 9.0802, Application for Permit Bond, 9.0803, Excavation to be restored. Excavation Permit, no person, 01, no person, firm, or corporation shall cut into, tunnel under, or in any manner disturb the surface of any city street, sidewalk, or right-of-way without first applying and obtaining from the recorder treasurer a written permit to do so, which shall be dated and shall give the name and address of the person to whom the permit is granted and the location of the place where the city street, alley, sidewalk, or right-of-way is to be cut into, tunneled under, and the purpose for which said permit is granted. 9.0802, application for permit / bond. Any permit, public or private, awarded permit under this chapter, except the Clinton Water Department and any other agency of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, shall post bond in the sum of $2,000 with the recorder treasurer for the purpose of compensating the city should the permit fail to repair the excavated city street, alley, sidewalk, or right-of-way. 9.0803, excavations to be restored. All excavations permitted under this chapter are to be restored to their original condition to the satisfaction of the mayor or his appointee before the bond shall be returned. Section 2, savings, repeal, that all ordinance or parts of the ordinance in conflict with this ordinance are repealed to the extent of such conflict. Section 3, servability, that should any word, sentence, clause, paragraph, or provision of this ordinance be held invalid or unconstitutional, the remaining provision of this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. First reading. Thank you.
Now, are you gonna do any more tweaking to that, or do you need something in there for that?
Yeah, that was.
My question is, how do you notify these people that they're supposed to come? I mean, they just show up, I mean, you
Just have to advertise it, I guess.
Well,
Local paper and-
It's kind of like going up to somebody's house, like, I'd like to burn that house down. You can't do it unless you ask them. I mean, you know, it's our property, it's the city, so the public ought to know, I shouldn't be cutting into the city street without talking to the owner, which is the city.
Right. John?
And so it's kind of just
But
I'm not saying we shouldn't educate the public on the changes, but at the
But
same
they've done
time.
it for years, not had to get permission, so we gotta get the word out there, hey, you've done this all these years, now we're gonna start needing you to come see us.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why we're
Well,
doing.
that's sort of started out, and like I said, the guy I talked to said, you know, I'm over these 3 counties, I should have been coming in, and it's just, he had a crew that, and it was just getting lax, and that's probably the mayor's fault. So.
Most of
ultimately,
the
it's not
contractors in the
Charles.
area is gonna be the same ones that's gonna do a lot of the same work, so they'll figure it out.
Sure,
So we can just mail a copy of this ordinance to them when it's finished.
sure, that's a good idea, you know, to the ones that we know.
Yeah, Moix and all them.
That's the best advertising.
Pretty much
Word
the
gets
same.
around pretty fast. They all bid against each other.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, anything, yeah, thank you, see you, appreciate it. Up next is ordinance waiving conflicts of interest. It's the ordinance recognizing waiving conflicts of interest in the doing business with certain providers of goods and services and declaring an emergency. I'll entertain a motion and second to put on first, second reading of this ordinance. This is for conflict of interest for, I think, Doug Davidson on this one. I'm gonna read it.
I'll make a motion.
I'll say it.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, would you like a break? I'd be happy to read it for you.
Go ahead. I'm having a hard time seeing. They were dying for you to do.
I was trying to figure out how we could reject it somehow. We'll have to read every one of them.
So ordinance number 2020, an ordinance recognizing and waiving conflicts of interest in the doing of business with certain providers of goods and services and declaring an emergency. Now, therefore, be it ordained, the City Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, Whereas the limited number of businesses providing certain goods and services within a practical distance of the city and used by the city of such providers would otherwise present a conflict or potential conflict of interest. This ordinance is established to acknowledge and weigh the utilization of those providers for city business. Section 2, those businesses which are the subject of this ordinance are A, Doug Davidson Solid Rock Insurance being retroactive to June 1st, 2019.
January.
I'm sorry, January. I can't read either. Okay, section 3, all ordinances of parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. Section 4, emergency clause, many of goods and services needed by the city provided by the above entities involve the safety and health of the citizens and visitors to the city, including the fire department and the water department. Non-access on a timely basis to these goods and services might well present a hazard to the health and safety of these individuals. Therefore, an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance being necessary for the immediate preservation of the public health, safety, and welfare shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval.
Thank you. Good job. Any other discussion on that? I'll ask for a vote to adopt it.
We gotta vote to read it.
I can't hear you.
We didn't vote to read it first.
I thought we just voted to read it and read it.
You didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't?
No, y'all just did first and second.
Okay.
But, I mean,
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes. Yes.
Pistol and Ward.
Yes.
So are we good?
So I need to read it again, or no?
Why don't you dispense with the read? I thought we moved to suspend.
No,
I think one reading's good. Everybody got it, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's on first, second, third reading. So we've adopted it. Entertain a motion second to suspend the rules and adopt the emergency clause.
I haven't even adopted it yet.
Vote.
We haven't adopted it.
What?
We haven't adopted it yet.
Entertain a motion second to adopt the ordinance.
I make a motion we adopt the ordinance.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? I'll ask for a roll call.
Is there, I got one quick one.
Okay.
It doesn't say like what the goods or services are, you know, or anything. I mean,
He sells insurance.
that's what,
It says Davidson
I
Rock
figured.
Solid Insurance.
I figured that, but I just didn't know if there was something special because of COVID or something like that, so that's what I was trying to.
It just says
Bring
Doug
that out,
Davidson
make sure.
of Solid Rock Insurance. I mean,
Yep.
these are, we use for insurance.
I guess we can't sell him insurance until we get this cleared up. Or he can't sell us insurance until we get this cleared up. We gotta have insurance.
Well, the conflict of interest is because he's on the airport.
He's on the airport commission, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if everybody knew all that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Okay, now entertain a motion second to adopt the emergency clause.
Make a motion. We adopt the emergency clause.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? I call for a vote.
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yep.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
2020-03.
Thank you. Brings us to first of the last three items, Resolution 2019 Amendment to the Budget. This is a resolution providing for an amendment to the budget for the city of Clinton, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1st, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019. Appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided for. You have that in front of you. I think something we do every year. Entertain a motion in a second
Make a motion.
Second.
to adopt that
We
resolution.
adopt the resolution.
Is there any questions on that? I'll ask for a roll call.
We don't, okay. This is just a resolution? This is for the budget, okay.
Yes. Where
Barnes.
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Brings us the resolution, CARES Act for Clinton Municipal Airport and the FAA grant to install beacon runway lighting and edge light. And I think Jason is still here. He's not.
He's right there.
You were here.
Yeah, maybe. We've heard from everybody.
He wants to talk.
He doesn't?
He's wrapping up a conversation.
All right, I'll preface it, for one resolution's for $30,000. It's offset, and we get every year for day-to-day expenses, pay Susan Fox, salaries for that. General maintenance, probably stuff for the building, that'll be one. I'll go ahead and read it. Resolution designating, well, I guess we'll do, that's the, I better do the CARES Act. Hey, I was introducing these two resolutions, and this is the CARES Act. The first one is CARES Act for Municipal Airport. I think that's the $30,000 one that offsets day-to-day expenses. Susan Fox cleaning
Yes,
the
sir.
building. We do it every year. Pays for that, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, the CARES Act, it was through the program that they put forth to restart the economy after the coronavirus fall. So that's gonna be a one-time thing.
Right.
It's kind of helped airports through the day-to-day tasks through lower income, lower revenue.
So that, and I'll read this resolution. It's designating and authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement for Clinton Municipal Airport, whereas the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Aviation Administration has offered the city of Clinton a grant under the CARES Act. A copy of this grant is offered. It's attached here too, and incorporated herein Exhibit A, which I have in my hand. Whereas this grant offer must be accepted by the mayor no later than June the 30th, 2020, in order for it to be valid. Now therefore it be resolved by the City Council of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, that the mayor as a signatory agent and or the successor of said agent is hereby authorized and directed to execute that certain grant agreement attached hereto as Exhibit A. Motion and second to accept that.
Make a motion, we accept the.
Any other discussion? I'll ask for a vote, a roll call.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yep.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
2020-07.
7, and that brings us down to the final new business resolution, the FAA grant to install the beacon and runway edge lights. We need a resolution on this. That is the, I think in the past, it's $150,000 we get every year, airports get. We've been working on the approach and the tarmac. This now, Dan is, we're gonna replace the lighting with LED lighting and then put in the beacon, which he's calling Dickie Hinks, beacon. We don't want to shine in his window, but he brings that up every time. So I told Dan I would mention that. So that's what this entails. Have I missed anything on that?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion in a second to adopt that.
Make a motion, we accept the beacon grant.
I'll go ahead and read it. It's a resolution authorizing the city of Clinton through its mayor to enter into a grant agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration to install airport beacon and install runway edge lights at the Clinton Municipal Airport, CCA, FAA project number AIP 3-05-0077-017-2020. Resolved that the city of Clinton desires to enter into a grant for the purpose to install an airport beacon and install runway edge lights at the Clinton Municipal Airport. The FAA grant AIP 3-05-0077-017-2020 with its total project amount of $155,913 shall consist of approximately $140,321 payable from the funds of the U.S. government and approximately $15,591 payable from funds from the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics. Further resolved, the mayor on behalf of the city of Clinton is authorized to sign the grant agreement and take whatever actions necessary to implement the grant. I'll call for a vote.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yeah.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
2020-08.
Thank you. That brings us down to public comment. And Judge James, good to have you here. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone for being here. Adam?
I've got a couple of questions, if that's all right. This street cut bond deal that you're gonna replace as a water department, fall under, the water department, do they fall under that street cut bond you're talking about adopting, or are they, as a city?
That's what it was excluded.
Yeah, they're included.
I think as a city.
And that's the current ordinance has them out of it, so the new one is always the same as the current one.
Gotcha. The other thing I was wondering is, how is your review of the nuisance ordinance coming along?
Yeah, we need to get that group together. Are y'all about comfortable now to get together and have a meeting on that?
I was wondering how the review of the nuisance ordinance
Oh,
that was adopted several months
We
ago.
haven't done anything since the.
Yeah, we haven't reviewed it yet.
So it's just kinda got delayed.
Yeah, the first step is gonna be that public
Yeah.
comment meeting we were talking about having, and I've got a list of names of people who want to be part of that, but.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'm on that list, so.
All right, yeah, I got you on the list. Well,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Did I understand correctly, you're gonna be having a town hall or something about this water rate, industrial water rate?
Yeah, it'll be, we'll advertise it in the paper and it'll be,
Thank you.
re-advertised well in advance. Yeah, thanks for coming. You don't have to say anything, I just,
Well, I will since I'm here. I'm just here to say hi and try to appreciate y'all, and I think I'm looking forward to some good days coming up. I think we've got COVID, hopefully the worst of that behind us. We've got a lot of other issues, I hope, behind us, and to hear Lori talk a while ago about the animal shelter, well, as far as city and county, we pretty well got that behind us, because they just picked up where we left off, and they're doing a better job than we ever think about doing out there.
well, we just iron out a lot of wrinkles.
Yeah, so thank y'all. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure
thank you, and I
working with y'all.
appreciate the, cautiously optimistic on the economy, so, thank you. Brings down to mayor's comments. The new city hall, I want to have some numbers for you. I'm looking kind of for a job foreman that. I was hoping it doesn't fall to me. I was kind of wanting more maybe the framer, find the framer to, if you have any input on that. I think we have a pretty good layout, but I really need to get to the point to fine tune it and get the actual measurements down of the rooms. And I'll need a little help with that if I can get it. Everybody's really busy. I mean, I've solicited, but I've got lots of bids on the other things. So hopefully I'll have a figure for that next meeting. Street department, I mentioned that earlier, they've been doing a really good job on our drainage. And bass tournament was mentioned this Saturday and Sunday. They come up every year, they're treated well, they fill up our hotels, and we're excited about that. That's about all I can understand there. Of my writing, Go Jackets are playing baseball. So Carson was pitching. I'm sure he hope he didn't get knocked off the mound, but you never know. Appreciate you being here. I'll entertain a motion second to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second, all in favor? I believe we stand adjourned.
Step into a new